Mr. Gao, let me come to you first. Now, Panda diplomacy started in the 1950s when China sent pandas abroad as free gifts. However, with a decline in panda numbers, the Chinese government has changed its approach. Now China is usually offering a pair of pandas to other countries for 10 years of scientific research and breeding and charges a fee of $1 million for each year. What are the considerations behind this arrangement?
Well, first of all, I am a lover of panda, and I think universally almost everyone in the world loves panda. Panda is really a great animal and a great friend of mankind. Now, panda is unique. It's only indigenous to China, to a very small part of China, and panda only eats bamboo and bamboo shells. So, in a sense, panda is truly a living fossil in a sense. And I think how to preserve panda, but also how to allow more and more people in different parts of the world to really look at this wonderful animal, I think that is a challenge. The Chinese way of dealing with these wonderful animals is to do the preservation at home, but also encourage as many countries in the world as possible to join in this great assignment and great excitement. So I think the current policy of loaning a pair of pandas to one particular country and then to another particular country, allow them to do the breeding of the pandas, but the newborn panda babies will eventually need to come back to China, etc. This is a very complicated and very sophisticated way of preserving panda, but also allowing more people to enjoy that. It may not be a perfect system, but I think this system works, and it generates huge amount of excitement for people in different parts to enjoy this wonderful animal. And I think this is a tradition that needs to go on.
Mr. Zhao, let me come to you from an animal protectionist perspective. How do you look at such arrangements? I mean, of course, China is charging for some money, but the total amount of money China has, let's say, received so far falls short of the kind of investment, actually far shorter than the kind of investment China puts in doing panda research and breeding. What is your take on this issue?
Well, I think the panda diplomacy, in terms of raise people's awareness, raise international community's awareness to protect pandas, it's very effective and very helpful. However, in terms of protecting animals, it's not an ideal model. First, when the pandas were transported from country to country from a long way, they often got fear, distress, and when they leave the pairs, a lot of animal welfare issues. It's not an ideal model. And as you also mentioned, the actual money gained from the rent of the pandas is very limited. It's a very small portion in terms of all the money invested in protect the pandas. So overall, I think the ideal model would be maybe the foreign countries can sponsor a natural reserve in the pandas' natural habitat, for example. We can think of other alternatives.
Mr. Gao, now the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, has announced that the giant panda has been downgraded from endangered to vulnerable in 2016. Now the population of wild giant panda is more than 1,800, an increase of almost 1/5 in the decade up to 2014. How do you look at this achievement, and how do you think this has been possible?
Now, I think, first of all, in China, in the central government as well as the local governments, in the scientific research sector as a whole, and among the Chinese people, there is a great level of attention paid to preserving the panda and also to taking care of the panda. This is really very outstanding. And I think, as a Chinese national, I'm very proud of all the work put into this preservation work. Now, I think this explains why the total number of wild pandas living in wilderness has not only not declined in the past years, but has been actually on the rise. And this is really good news. This is good news not only to us, the panda lovers, but it is really a good news to mankind as a whole, to the human race as a species. And I think this needs to be continued going forward. And I would say that the more people in different parts of the world who want to do and join in the preservation work for the giant panda, the better. On the other hand, I still believe that people in different cities in the world, in Europe, in Americas, in Japan, in Singapore, for example, they also want to have a look at panda at close range. They do not need to travel all the way to Sichuan province in China just to have a chance to look at the wild pandas.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of international cooperation, rotating pandas to different zoos in different cities, in different parts of the world, should be kept as a good tradition so that more and more people can look at this wonderful animal.
Mr. Zhao, finally, China plans to build a giant panda national park spanning 3 provinces to help the animals mingle and enrich their gene pool. The park is 3 times the size of America's Yellowstone National Park. What will it bring to the conservation of wild pandas?
Oh, yes, I have actually read the plan. I think it's a fantastic plan because when China protects the natural habitat of the pandas, it protects the whole ecological system, so not only pandas and other animals can benefit from it.